Night Rants on the Better Sports Network. What is going on, everybody? Somebody has a case of the Monday. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And well, it's Bob's your uncle. Rants on the Street with Thomas Stevens. Shout out to my producer, Tyler Soto. Boom. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Monday Night Rants on the Better Sports Network. I am Edward Rouse at Edward Rouse at all your favorite social media platforms as always. Whew. It's been quite the week, let me tell you. I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th of July holiday and weekend. I know a lot of people took Friday off, had a nice 4-day weekend there, spent time with your families, didn't blow yourself up. Hopefully nobody is watching this show currently from a hospital bed. One can hope. But what a weekend of sports we had. What a week of sports we had. We are now in what I like to call the dog days of sports summer. NBA is behind us. NHL is behind us. NFL in their kind of after the mandatory mini camps, kind of in their little off season right now as well for another month or so till August kicks off. So here we are. Not a lot going on. We got the All-Star game, which we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the rosters, a couple of things I've noticed, and our biggest snubs. NBA free agency. We're definitely talking about that tonight. A lot has happened over the last week. New faces, new places, right? And a lot of soccer right now, or football, if you will, going on between the Copa America and the Euros. We are almost down to see who is going to take home each individual championship. Spoiler alert, the USA is not one of them. More on that later. And the NFL. I mean, we have about 4 weeks here until everything is NFL again, and we're right back into it. And next thing you know, it's September, and the football season is started, and here we go again. So the dog days of sports summer is here, baby. We are here on Monday Night Rants. Tyler Heavy T Soto will be joining me as always later. We're going to talk about some of MLB snubs he has for the All-Star game, as well as a little bit of WWE talk and Money in the Bank on What Say Ye, Heavy T. So stay tuned. I love to talk about plus an announcement at the end of the show. So without further ado, and I mean ado, let's jump into the rant lines. Rant lines. Why is this different? I hate when stuff is different. It drives me crazy. There we go. Much better. Feel free to get in the chat as always. Shout out, ask questions, disagree, agree, have funny comments, whatever it is. This is streaming everywhere on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch. So feel free to jump in the chat. I can see all the chats all around the world from anywhere you are watching this show. All right, we're going to jump right into the NBA free agency because it is the biggest thing going on right now in sports. Unless you're a big soccer fan, I guess. But here we are. Kind of one of the weakest NBA free agency classes we've had in a minute. Pretty similar to how weak the NBA draft was. The NBA draft was so weak. Do you even remember who got taken first or second or third? No. Because everyone is only talking about the guy taking third to last in Bronny James. That is it. That is it. I can't remember a year where so much was on Bronny James, a player taken almost last in the draft. And the 2-day thing was absolutely horrendous. 2 days. Did anybody even watch the second day? No. I looked at my phone, it was over. It was only like 4 o'clock here. I was like, what is happening here? What is happening here? But we do have some players who have found new homes in free agency. As always, a lot of the big names stayed. Obviously, LeBron James is staying in LA to play with his son. If his son plays and doesn't end up in the G League, we'll see. 2-year, $104 million deal for James. Took a little bit of a pay cut here because he wants more around him, which is fair because the one thing that has been needed of the Lakers over the last couple of years is players around LeBron and Anthony Davis. They haven't really got it. They don't have that piece yet. So we'll see how, I guess Austin Reeves kind of surprised, but we'll see how it all pans out. But not my favorite here to win the NBA title next year. That's for sure. Tyrese Maxey staying with the 76ers. 5-year, $204 million extension. Well-deserved for the young guy. Love his game. And here we have the 76ers now with Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George. A big three, if you will. And I got questions because this big three thing has not worked for a minute now. It has not worked at all. Paul George agreed to a 4-year, $212 million contract with the 76ers out in Philadelphia. Now, this is a guy who absolutely loves LA, lives and breathes LA. He's from LA. He played college at Fresno State, which is 3 hours away from LA. And for some reason, he did not come to terms with the Clippers. And he wanted to stay. He came out today and said the offer that he got was like, that's crazy. He said, and I quote, nah, I ain't signing that. Now, the Clippers were willing to give Kawhi Leonard a lot of money in an extension to not play in playoff games. Now, Paul George has his fair share of injuries as well. And he is older than Kawhi Leonard. So it makes a little bit of sense. The Clippers are opening a new arena. They need to generate excitement. And Kawhi Leonard is the excitement because I'll be excited about James Harden if I'm a Clipper fan. Am I excited about, well, Russell Westbrook probably won't be on the team when the season starts. But am I excited about this Clippers team now going to this new arena? No. James Harden, 2 years, $70 million. Does that pump me? Does that make me go, whoa, the Clippers got it next year after what I saw? This team can't stay healthy. But then on the other side of this, too, you look at the 76ers. Can that team stay healthy? Embiid has his knee issues. Paul George has shoulder issues and a leg issue. So with all these aging players signing these, 4 years for Paul George? He's 34 years old. 4 years, $212 million deal. I want to know the over and under of how many games he actually plays in the next 4 years for the 76ers. So maybe the Clippers are onto something here. We'll see how it all plays out, but I don't know, man. It's crazy. But the East is the easier path, right? The East is an easier path to championship. Now, the Pacers are going to be really good again next year, if not better. The Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell's back. They're going to be good. They're a young team on the up and up, too. So there's going to be a little bit. And the Knicks, of course. Let's not count out the Villanova Knicks, which I think is hilarious, by the way. But it's the easier path. So Paul George taking the easier path. I get it. On top of that, you have a lot of players who stayed with the same team. We've mentioned James Harden. Siakam staying with said Pacers, who I think is going to be a really good team next year. OG Anunoby is staying with the Knicks. He's the only non-Villanova player, I think, left. However, the Knicks got a big blow when they lost Isaiah Hartenstein to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's going to hurt more than people think there. He was a big key role player in this last successful season that they had last year. DeMar DeRozan, at age 34, same age as Paul George, is leaving the Bulls to go to the Kings, but only a 3-year, $74 million deal. Another guy who's been constantly injured and definitely lost his touch in the shooting game. He is not the same player he used to be. However, the Kings were just missing one kind of piece this last year after their great year 2 years ago. that can get them over the hump. So, and the Kings are, again, a young, up-and-coming team who didn't lose a lot this offseason. So a good spot for DeMar, I think, to take some pressure off him. KCP, obviously, 31 years old, leaving Denver, going to the Orlando Magic, another team on the up-and-up, surprised all of us last year when they made the playoffs. I didn't even just to make the playoffs was a surprise. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I don't think a repeat performance of Orlando's in store this next year, but it is what it is. Klay Thompson, obviously, is the last one here we're going to talk about. Leaving the Golden State Warriors. The big three is done, but to be honest, the big three has been done for a couple of years there in Golden State. And if anyone had to go, I don't know why it would be Klay Thompson. I thought it would definitely not be him. I thought it would be, I don't know, maybe Draymond, the guy who's constantly being suspended and can't even play basketball barely anymore. Can't even shoot. I don't know. Maybe him. Ugh. Tobias Harris also left the 76ers, obviously, when they got Paul George. He was joining the Detroit Pistons. And so there you have it. It's kind of a rundown here of the big names in free agency. That's it. So the NBA is going to look different next year as it always does every year. They're still going to have the same players. Obviously, the Boston Celtics will be the favorite. Huge extension for Tatum. You got Jaylen Brown, the MVP of the finals. And in my eyes, the Celtics are clearly the team to beat next year as well. The Timberwolves will be better. The Thunder will be better because a whole year with experience in the playoffs, playing with each other, they didn't lose anything at all, really. Neither did the Timberwolves. The Nuggets will be the same Nuggets team. The West is loaded. The Clippers, I don't think, will be better. I think they'll be worse. The Kings will be better. Definitely better. The Warriors, kind of playing material. So ultimately, not exciting free agency, but the Paul George was the biggest news, and DeMar DeRozan leaving. So not a lot of turnover, but enough to kind of change the landscape of the NBA. There you have it. We're going to talk more about this. Speaking of turnover, geez, Christ, complete turnover. We're going to talk more about this, obviously, when Heavy T joins, but the MLB All-Star game. Now, does anybody even watch this anymore? It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's still the summertime classic. It's the only thing going on. The home run derby is kind of cool. It used to be cooler, but they keep on messing with the format. And we're going to be live here on this show while that's going on. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. And by the way, we're going to make a game out of it. So make sure you tune in for the MLB Home Run Derby Monday Night Rants show. I believe it's next week. Next Monday. We're going to have some fun. Pete Alonso announcing he is joining today in Texas. Crazy. We say new faces, new places. We say complete turnover. Why is that? The All-Star rosters were announced yesterday, and 32 players between the two teams are first-timers. 32. We talked about the injuries this year of all the stars going down. We talked about how no one's watching baseball. There's some big-name stars that did not make the All-Star that were like, as we get the year, I could have told you Francisco Lindor would have been a shoo-in. He ain't playing. I could have told you Manny Machado would probably represent the Padres. He didn't make it. Jackson Merrill from the Padres, the youngest player on the All-Star roster, has made it. Now, you haven't seen what this guy's been doing. I'm not going to say Juan Soto too. I'm not crazy. Juan Soto who? I was kidding. But the dude's putting up impressive numbers for the Padres and holding down center field. And this Padres team, I mean, obviously it's going to be a wild card, but they're chasing down the Dodgers a little bit. They're just pitching is really hurt, and Dylan Cease has been on an absolute terrible run over the last month, 2 months, or almost 2 months now. Wow. And after all they gave away for him, we'll see how that all pans out. And of course, Paul Skeens making the roster here, which is exciting. So you got a lot of young players here, 32 first-timers on the All-Star team. Absolutely insane. So the starters are obviously voted by the fans. Rutschman, Vladdy, Altuve, which is kind of a surprise for me, obviously a fan vote favorite. He hasn't been that great. The Houston hasn't been kind of mediocre this year. Jose Ramirez, Gunnar Henderson, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Jordan, obviously the DH. But Stephen Kwan, if you haven't been watching Stephen Kwan play baseball, and by the way, this Cleveland Guardians team right now is really good. You would have thought losing Bieber and their pitching staff and everything, ooh, they're in trouble. But no. They're putting up numbers and they're putting up wins. Probably going to win that AL Central, which has turned out to be a really good division, by the way. Which is crazy as well. The National League, you got Contreras, Bryce Harper, who's having a great year, but obviously just got hurt again. Another star going down. Marte, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner. A lot of Philadelphia Phillies here. Jerickson Profar, who's crushing it in left field for the Padres as well. I believe he leads the NL in batting average. He's up there. Maybe it's Ohtani and he's second. But man, Profar's doing crazy. Tatis, who won't play because of an injury. Christian Yelich, welcome back. And of course, Ohtani. So it's pretty exciting. But here's where it gets crazy. In the American League, the pitchers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are all first-time All-Stars. Now, that's kind of how it works in baseball, to be honest. With the pitchers. You always have first-time pitchers. Every team has to be representatives. You got Cole Reagans, Tarek Skubal, who's been great. Mason Miller for Oakland. Oakland has to have somebody, people. Garrett Crochet, who's been great for Chicago, so obviously he's theirs. Logan Gilbert, great. So you got all these first-time. In the National League, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 first-timers. Jeff Hoffman is one of them. Ronaldo Lopez. Paul Skeens, we mentioned. Tanner Scott. Matt Strahm, which is crazy. Ranger Suarez has had an unbelievable year. Robert Suarez for the Padres, and obviously Logan Webb was well-deserved for the Giants as well. So we're seeing turnover here in baseball with 32 players are all their first-time All-Star. It's been a low-watched year, I feel. I know ratings are down. It's not as exciting, and a lot of these divisions have already been kind of chosen, really. There's going to be a few races here. Obviously, the AL East will be one between the Orioles and the Yankees. But if you look at the other divisions, they're a little runaway-ish already right now. So we'll see how it all plays out. But and more on this, by the way, when Heavy T joins. But there's 2 more things I want to talk about before he does. So we got to get into it. But I'll be watching. I always do every year. It's a classic. I go to my parents' house, watch with my mom, have a couple beers, and root for my Padres players. She roots for her Dodgers players. I'm sure you root for your players. And if you're a White Sox fan, you're one player. Or you're an A's fan, you're one player. Or you're an Angels fan, you're one player. Sucks to be you. All right. You know who it really sucks to be? It's this guy. And I mean, wow. So let's put this into perspective. 8 years ago, roughly, United States failed to make the World Cup because they lost the game to Trinidad and Tobago. Who was the coach? Greg Berhalter. He's been the coach since. And after, I would say, a failure of a World Cup, and by the way, this is the best USA men's team we've ever had. They were young. They're in their mid-20s now. All of them who start pretty much don't play for the MLS. No, they play overseas in real competitive leagues. Christian Pulisic may be the best player we've ever had. And this dude can't do anything with them. They win games that don't matter. They win in competitions that don't matter. But in big competitions, they do not win. This is not the coach I want representing my USA soccer team. Now, I know, Edward, but USA is not known for soccer. It's known for football, real American football. But when a sport is so well known around the world, it's embarrassing to not put out a team that is good for America. Just because soccer's not big in America doesn't mean we can't have a good team. Right? And the same thing is going on with basketball right now. Our men's basketball team, we haven't been great in tournaments lately. Because countries are getting better at it. Our American football team, we're talking like NFL football team, lost to Austria last week, our under 20 team lost in a tournament to Austria in football. These other nations are catching up on the sports that we're really good at. Canada has been better than the United States in hockey for forever. So how long until there's other nations, especially with flag football now in the Olympics, we could lose flag football to Germany? Get better at American football. And then what? We have to be good at these international sports, and they're all international now. If the NFL is going to push that we need to play games in these other places, we can't allow them to be better than us in tournaments. United States should not be losing to Austria in an American football tournament. United States should not be losing to Austria in an American football tournament. I don't care if they're under 20 and don't play for the NFL. It shouldn't happen. And our soccer team is an embarrassment right now. The best team we've ever had. The best team we've ever. Well, they're not. They're not. I don't care that Uruguay beat Brazil and they're moving on to Copa America. All I care about is we couldn't beat Panama. All they do is sit on two sides of a canal and pass the ball over it. But we got a red card early. Shut up. Berhalter has to go. And bring in Jurgen Klopp. Bring in a coach who retired because he doesn't want to be on the scene all year round, and all he has to do is coach United States for 3 months of the year. One of the best coaches we've ever seen in the English Premier League and the German Bundesliga ever. Pay him. And let's get USA Soccer, with this talent we have now, back on the freaking map. Because if we lose the NFL or the American football to Austria, we got to get something back here. It's sad to see. I went really long on that. It's passionate. Passionate, people! You know who else is passionate? English football fans. And before we bring Heavy T on the show, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, but it's absolutely hilarious, and I'm going to show it anyways. Heavy T's joining me next to talk MLB snubs and a little WWE and maybe some other things too. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to all play out or happen. I don't know. It's a crazy show. It's the dog days of sports summer, people. But before Heavy T, this. It's a celebration, Heavy T.
That's a celebration. You know, we'll see how England does tomorrow.
He's got a pint glass on his head. He's got a pint glass on his head. It's going to sweep the nation. It's going to sweep the nation.
Please don't sweep the nation with that. It's terrible.
Have you ever been in a situation like that poor English fan?
Have I ever been hammered out
Yes.
of my mind? Yes.
Yeah.
On plenty of occasions.
And
including, I think, last weekend.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
have you ever had hundreds of friends around you doing stuff to you like that?
See, that's the good thing, is that I've never had friends be asshole enough to just do that to me, nor have I ever been like that to them. So that worked out slightly. But that is kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of funny.
It's pretty funny. Good luck to them. Although I'm rooting for the Netherlands.
Yeah, I would like to see the Dutch win it. That'd be pretty cool.
Go. Let's go orange and blue, baby. Let's win the whole thing. I did put money on them too, so that would be it. Yes. All right, my friend. Are you excited about? Well, next week we get to be live during the MLB Home Run Derby. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
we'll make a game out of it.
That'd be pretty dope. Home Run Derby. We'll have to pick some winners because I believe we are a week out and they still have to find 3 people.
Yeah, we got Alec Boehm's going to be there.
I've seen Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Pete Alonso.
Yeah. I know there's another one. You know what? I'm going to be honest real quick. It's kind of sad to see how the Home Run Derby has very quickly turned into the dunk contest for the NBA, where the major stars just don't want to do it.
Oh, Gunnar Henderson.
That'll be good. That'll be good. He's killing it this year, so that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I read that I believe they asked.
Oh, and Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, that'll be all right. I believe they asked Judge, Soto, and Ohtani if they wanted to do it, and all 3 of them declined, which I thought was hilarious.
Is there anybody on the Rangers who could be a hometown hero in this? Is there?
I wouldn't care. Like, none of the Rangers excite me. The way they are playing this year shows that championship last year was an absolute fluke.
We've talked. And if the Arizona Diamondbacks would have won, we would say the same thing too. I mean,
a little bit, yeah. I mean, the Diamondbacks are slowly starting to turn around, but yeah, they're not that much better. The Rangers are awful. They're just not good.
There's a huge turnaround in baseball happening right now, if you believe it or not. Huge turnaround. 32 All-Stars are first-timers this year.
Yeah, I'm going to be real with you. I thought that was pretty cool. However, there were some really bad snubs this year. I think the one thing that baseball has to get away from is that every team has to have a representative. Not every team has to have a representative.
Oh, but your Anaheim Angels, man, they have the best representative.
Well, I'll be honest. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for Tyler Anderson. I'm glad he got the All-Star nod. He is not the one that should have got the nod.
And who should have been?
So if we'll get onto the snubs list, I guess. So
yeah, let's go.
My first one is it should have been Luis Rengifo. However, he is currently on the IL, so I will bypass that. The second one, who is my snub, I have 6 snubs, 3 American, 3 national.
Damn. All right.
Yeah. Logan O'Hoppe. That dude needed to be on the All-Star team. 275 average, 12 home runs. I don't know if this is still technically.
The problem is he plays a position that doesn't get a lot of players on.
That's only 2 catchers, but I mean, he needs to be there. He has very quickly become one of the better catchers in the American League.
Yeah. Yeah. Great trade with the Philadelphia Phillies on that one. The Angels.
Amazing trade with the Phillies. It's kind of weird because they have Real Muto. So it's not like O'Hoppe was going to get called up anytime soon. But I wonder if they're going to look back and regret. I wonder if any of them actually regret it. Because don't get me wrong, I like Brandon Marsh too. And he was a great addition to Philadelphia. But if O'Hoppe turns into what he's currently on pace to become, it was a steep trade. So we'll see what happens with that. The second one, I'm going to go to the pitcher side. He's the only pitcher on my list. Ronel Blanco.
I have 2 pitchers. He's one of them.
Yeah. This dude is a 2.53 ERA, 88 Ks, casually tossed a no-hitter.
Okay. On our show live, actually.
During the second day of the season or something like that, second or third day. And he did not get in. What's the point, man?
There's 2 other pitchers, starting pitchers, who I think we're absolutely snubbed. And that's George Kirby for the first place Mariners right now, who's 3.39 ERA, 1 WHIP, and 109 strikeouts to only 11 walks.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
And also Joe Ryan for the Twins, surprisingly.
Joe Ryan was on my long list. He's not on my short list. But
he has 118 strikeouts and only 16 walks with an under 1 WHIP, and both those guys definitely deserve to be in. But you're right. Because they have to select one player from every team, I think they kind of drop some of these guys away,
It's kind of crazy because if you put in O'Hoppe and you take out Anderson, there's 1 pitching slot open. And any one of those guys get it.
Who was the second catcher that after? Oh, it was Salvi.
Salvador.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
He's having a decent.
That's tough beating the American League, and those 2 catchers are ahead of you. That's like.
I mean,
they're probably the 2 best catchers in baseball right now.
Yeah,
So
Rutschman
that's
is
kind of tough.
so damn good. I don't know about baseball. I'll say the American League, but I don't know about baseball as a whole.
Yeah.
Because Contreras over there in Milwaukee, he's pretty damn good too.
Yeah, I don't think he's as good as those two, but yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
All right, all right. The third one, which is my most glaring omission from the American League, Anthony Santander. This
Yeah,
dude is
that's
batting
dumb.
235 with 23 home runs. Why is he not an All-Star?
Mm-mm.
And I get it. I don't remember off the top of my head who made the team, but I get you already have Rutschman. You probably have a couple other Orioles in there.
There's a lot.
Santander needs to be on that list. I'm sorry. So flipping over to the National League, two of the guys I have of the three mentioned are on the same team. That is Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo.
Yep.
Both of those dudes should be All-Star. It's really disappointing that the Mets, who have actually kind of had a resurgence in the past 6 weeks, only have one All-Star, and it's Pete Alonso, who's probably the worst of the three people.
Well, Lindor did start off very slow. So did the Mets. So
yeah,
this probably has a lot to do with it. But he's been scorching hot over the last 2 months.
yeah, he picked it up. He deserves to be there. It's a 250 average. He's doing pretty good. But the biggest omission, and I think this is one that everybody agrees on, and I'm kind of hoping he gets added as a late addition. Christian Walker of Arizona definitely needs to be an All-Star. 268, 22 home runs, and he's not an All-Star. That's a crime. That's an absolute travesty. But, I mean, I do appreciate the fact that MLB put out a bunch of first-time All-Stars, but Christian Walker is a very glaring omission.
Another one for me is Bryce Terang from the Brewers at second base.
I did see his name pop up a lot.
Yeah, he's hitting 280 with a 350 on-base percentage, and he has 29 stolen bases.
Yeah, maybe should have been on the team.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe he should have been on the team.
But here we are.
I will ask you one question.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the fence about it, and I think I have more. I think I lean a little bit more that he should be on the team. What do you think about Paul Skeens? Should he have made the team or no?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm just slightly on the fence with it, but I think I'm more he should be in as opposed to him not.
Were there any other Pirates that made it?
Off the top of my head, I do not know.
I don't think so.
Well, then, yeah, he could have been the lone representative. Did O'Neal Cruz make it or no? I actually don't know.
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
He's a great fantasy player, but when you bat 180,
is he only batting one? Okay.
Yeah, he's never going to be known for his batting average. That's for sure. So
yeah, I did not realize.
Let me see if anyone else here from Pittsburgh made it. I don't.
Probably not. If Skeens ends up being, if he is indeed the lone Pittsburgh.
No, Brian Reynolds did make it as
okay. I'm fine with Brian Reynolds making it too. I've said it. I think if not last week, no, we didn't have a show last week. Maybe 2 weeks ago. That Brian Reynolds is one of the more underrated players in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. But yeah, those are my snubs. Walker and Santander are the two glaring omissions.
I think the pitching between Logan Gilbert and Joe Ryan were crazy, and Lindor obviously and Bryce Terang should be on it as well as an infielder. But hey, not everyone can make it, and if they change that rule, maybe they will. But then if you're an Oakland A's fan, then who are you going to root for?
I don't care. Although I will admit there is one A. I actually don't know if he made the team or not. I don't think he did. Brent Rooker has quietly been having a very good year. So
no, I believe the A's representative was a pitcher.
I believe you're right on that too. Now that I think about it, so I did watch the selection.
Which, when you don't know, it's always a relief pitcher. Like it.
That's true. Yeah, I mean. I would have put in Brent Rooker over that relief pitcher, but I get you have to balance it out.
The White Sox were just lucky enough to have a starting pitcher have a really good year.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet's he's having a pretty good year.
For Oakland was Mason Miller, and it's his first.
All right, well, at least they got someone with their first, but Brent Rooker was also on my long list, very quietly having a very good year. Yeah, good fantasy. He's having a good enough year to where I think he's gone at the trade deadline.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of A's. Obviously, Esteuris Ruiz, they just need to trade him. If they're not going to play him, trade him and get something for him. Brent Rooker would be another one as well. The A's need a lot. Chicago, I think they're going to just get rid of House. I think Lou Bob's gone. I think Eloy's gone. Probably Garrett Crochet is probably gone.
Well, isn't Crochet like a younger, like a closer to a rookie than anything.
Yeah, he is. But there's already
Yeah, I
teams
don't.
like the Dodgers looking at him, and if they're willing to.
I doubt Chicago gets rid of him. I mean, if we're talking like Crochet, I know he's definitely on the younger side. Some team would have to sell the farm, which, I mean, I guess maybe the Dodgers. But, I mean, that's a funny thing real quick. So going to the Dodgers real fast. You built this super team or whatever, and then you get to the trade deadline, and there are very glaring holes that they have. Their starting pitching is not as
Their
good
starting
as everybody
pitching is really bad.
Yeah, so I would not pick them to get to the World Series. I'd probably pick them to get to the NLCS, but they probably lose to either Philly or Atlanta again. So that's assuming they get out of the DS this year.
Don't count out the Padres when all those starting arms get healthy too, though.
Well, I was just thinking about the Padres too because they beat them 2 years ago.
Yeah,
so
Michael King right now is pitching out of his mind.
And yeah, if you're a Dodgers fan,
Musgrove comes back and Yu Darvish is on his way back, and you have Dylan Cease. If he ever pulls it around, he's starting to become a clone of freaking Blake Snell right now. So that's not good.
Let's not hope for that. He was my Cy Young pick, and that's not happening.
He looked good until like the last month, and you just say, you know what? What's 6 runs? Let's just give them all up and start walking people, which I've never done in my career. Okay.
Love to see it, man.
All right. If you don't know, me and Heavy T have a new podcast out called Born to Heal, and we record either on a Wednesday or Thursday, release it that night or the next day, and it's about WWE and some AEW, mostly WWE. And it's taking the airways by storm because your boy on the last episode over here completely destroyed, and I picked every match correctly and even called the Drew McIntyre thing before it happened at Money in the Bank.
So I will admit before I go, first off, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you
for getting all your picks right. So there's that, number one. Number two, I'm okay with Drew winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. Don't want to get too much into that because we'll save it for the podcast.
We'll save it for the podcast.
Yeah, but I will mention this, and I will save a majority of my thoughts for the pod. I have some beef with how one of those matches ended. And I can tell you right now, it's the Intercontinental title match.
I know exactly which one it is. Yeah.
I have a problem with how that ended. I will release my thoughts on the podcast.
All right. We'll talk about the tan man, Braun Breaker, who just gets tanner every time I see him, man.
Jeez. And one thing we will mention, the John Cena retirement tour. That'll
the John Cena.
About.
We are, Heavy T and myself, we are going to Las Vegas next April. 110%, and maybe we'll do a live show from the hotel room with something on. We'll figure it out, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, man. But yeah,
maybe we'll be so big we'll have credentials passes.
Do you know? I'm not gonna lie, I low key thought about that. I don't know if we'll get that big, but that'd be pretty cool.
We're working on it. So
work in progress.
More on that later this week. Catch it out on MoneyNightRants.com and also on Spotify and soon to be Apple. If I could figure out why Apple won't allow it. But hey, I will. I always figure everything out. But we have a Spotify. It's Spotify.com/born2heal. That's heal, H-E-E-L. And the T-O, not a 2. We're not like, like Tupac or like Cradle to the Grave, which I always thought that was a sequel, but it wasn't.
To make it in wrestling terms, I'm not like Scotty Too Hottie. So there you go. Old school name right there.
So, Heavy T, I know you got to get back to work, and I have nothing more to talk about at all. So. I mean, we could just do Born to Heal for the next 20 minutes, but
we could, but like you said, unfortunately, some of us have to get back to work real quick.
It's the dog days of sports summer, and here we are. I'm actually watching Summer League, which we all know really translates to the NBA.
That's gross, but if I do have one beef with that, I do not need ESPN and your stupid notifications. I don't need 15 notifications on what Bronny did in summer camp or whatever. I could not give less of a shit.
Do you remember a year where like the third to last pick in the whole NBA draft is getting more coverage than anybody else drafted?
Yeah, here's the thing too, is that real quick, Bronny as the 55th of like 60 picks.
Yeah, it's like it's
as
terrible.
the 55th pick. This dude got a one-way contract for 7-something mil a year. Last year's 55th pick had to sign a two-way contract for like 500,000 a year. Like
I believe
it's
he's
God.
still playing in the G League too. That guy. I don't know
No,
what he is, but
the circle jerk around Bronny James is absolute. And
it's dumb.
Skip Bayless comes out and says, "Oh, I always thought that Bronny Jr. had more of a clutch gene than his dad." The fuck out of here, you old man!
Yeah,
like, we don't need this.
What are the chances that he actually plays minutes? You know what he's gonna make the team, and opening night they'll put him in to play like 2 minutes with his dad, and then they'll send him back to the G League. That's
No. He's gonna play. He's gonna take up a full roster spot the entire season.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
And I guarantee you,
where's Thomas? We need to get Thomas Stevens on to
the Lakers are gonna force him down everybody's throat. It's exactly what's going to happen.
Yep, and they're going to sell merch and make a lot of money.
God, dude, if you're buying Bronny merch, you're an idiot. That's all I got. I'm out, dude.
All right, at Heavy T on air. We'll be back with him later this week for our new Born to Heal, and he'll be back next Monday for a home run derby extravaganza, where I'm going to go back, like Chris.
That's officially my cue to leave.
Back in the day. All right, Heavy T. Have a good one, man. Oh, man, Heavy T, always a pleasure, always fun. We were texting back and forth over the weekend and multiple things. Lots to say on the All-Star game, the home run derby, obviously next week. We'll have some fun with that. And, of course, check out Born to Heal on MondayNightRants.com. You can check out the Spotify and the YouTube video version of that as well. No matter where you get your media, we have it all covered on MondayNightRants.com. Well, one more thing to do before we call it a merry adieu. And I will. But first, if you're starting a dynasty startup right now and you're getting ready, excited because it's the dog days of summer, and you want to say, hey, I want to start up the dynasty now. Now, the draft is over. Now, there's really nothing else going on. All the NFL players are on vacations. Travis Kelce's out doing jumping up on stage with his fiance. I guarantee they're fiance by now. They have to be. Or his boo, Taylor Swift. You say, hey, guys, we're going to get a group of us together. We're going to start a dynasty league, a dynasty startup. I can't think of a better place to do that than the FFPC, and neither can Coop. Here's why.
Is Dynasty, and the place to play is myffpc.com. Go to myffpc, use promo code COOP. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more. Now is the time to get in there and get set up with a startup draft. Now is the time, now that the rookies and everyone are set, because you can go in and you can start the draft, and you draft your Justin Jeffersons and Jamar Chases, and now that we know where the rookies are and where they're landing, you get going on that. So you want to try and set a startup draft for this week coming up if you're not involved yet, so go get involved. Use the QR code here or use the promo code that's in the link in the description here and get yourself going on Dynasty so you can really enjoy these players and draft the players you believe in. If you like Michael Penix Jr., you got to play Dynasty because you got to wait for him, but the payoff is big. And same with like Persall and Jackson Smith and Jigba and all these guys. Get in and do that. And I'll tell you what, the orphan leagues over there that we've been talking about, those all got bought up. They're actually all sold. People from this show I know took over a bunch of them. So right now, startups is the way to go. That's the way to rock and roll. It is startup season. Startup season and rookie draft season. That's what's up. Get set up at myffpc.com. Use promo code COOP. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more and give you a leg up. No dealing with chasing around your friends and making them pay dues and having your buddy be like, oh, dude, I got to quit the league because I got a dog and I can't pay attention no more and I don't want to do trades. Forget all that. You can play online, MyFFPC, high stakes, low stakes, whatever you want to do with experts. And if somebody leaves the league, it goes in that orphan pool and somebody picks it up. The league has never been disbanded on FFPC.com. That's directly from Eric Bachman over there has told me that. So that's what's up. Get set up.
Yes. Get set up at the FFPC. Rewind. If you're on your mobile, you obviously can't use the QR code. I get it. But there's an address, a URL, and promo code COOP to get you set up. I play Dynasty over there, and I absolutely love it. So we are getting to the point where there's more and more NFL fantasy football drafts. I've already done 2 of rookie first-time drafts because I'm in 2 Dynasty leagues, one of them at the FFPC. And I've already picked up, and I traded all my first seconds away to try to win it. So I really was left with not a lot at the end. But last year I drafted Puka Nacua in the 4th round. So we'll see how it all works out this year. Worked out pretty well. So I'm going to talk about some of the guys right now currently under ADP that are being drafted. And if I like them where they're at, if I don't like them where they're at, what are we going to do with them? Where would I rather want to be as drafts start to get exciting? Last year, for some reason, I had a ton of firsts. I was the first pick in a lot of drafts and redraft. I went Justin Jefferson and all of them. It came back to bite me in the butt. 2 years ago, I was a Christian McCaffrey guy. But the first overall pick is not my favorite. Neither is the end of the snake. I don't like that either. I've found more and more of these trophies you see up here that I win for playing fantasy football is more and more, I like being in the middle. Being in the middle, I think you have more opportunities because I think your mindset when you're at the snake end of it is like, I have to go 2 and 2, right? You're not going to take 2 running backs. You're going to go, I'm going to take a running back and receiver. Or I'm going to go running back I'm going to take McCaffrey first. When it comes back, take 2 receivers. But being in that middle, I think you have a little bit more options about what you could do and how you could get the draft to come in your favor. So I like that 4, 5, 6. A lot of people hate it, but I've loved it. And right now, if you're looking at that in that 4, 5, 6, because obviously this is the year of receiver, and it's been trending that way for a long time. The last couple, 3, 4 years, receivers are going like crazy, but receiver is actually really, really deep. Running backs are not deep. And no, I'm a little old school when I say this, but there's only a handful, and I mean a handful of running backs who will have the majority of touches for their teams. A handful. And then you're splitting hairs. A lot after. So being in that 5, 6, you can kind of see how the draft goes. Obviously, McCaffrey's going to go in the top 3. But after that, you kind of look at it and say, okay, I'm in the middle of the draft. I'm looking at probably Amon St. Brown at that point. A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua. Now, can Cooper Kupp stay healthy? And by the way, remember, having that top receiver isn't a guarantee either, like Justin Jefferson was last year. Jamar Chase last year was consensus number 2. He got hurt. So the injury plays a part in everything. Just because receivers are putting up more points than anything, they're not prone to injuries either, people. Plus, who's going to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson? Sam Darnold? I mean, yeah, he's a gunslinger, and if he is the quarterback, I'm actually going to be higher on Justin Jefferson than Bo Nix. Sorry, not Bo Nix. J.J. McCarthy. My bad. I'm not touching Denver with whatever the longest pull I could absolutely find. I am fading Denver players in fantasy unless the value is there for me whatsoever. Because Sean Payton has ruined the franchise, and even from a fantasy perspective. Bijan is going to be a very popular pick in this spot because obviously Kirk Cousins, you have, a whole new offensive scheme there in Atlanta. You got Drake London, Kyle Pitts. A lot of people are high on him this year, thinking of resurgence because Kirk Cousins does target the tight end more than most quarterbacks in the league. So I get that. But Kirk Cousins is also aging and coming off a really bad injury. He's used to playing on indoors from Minnesota, so that's kind of cool. But Atlanta almost still a little... Drake London could be a little bit of a value here, but I really think that after what I saw from Breece Hall towards the end of the season last year, that in this spot, I will have no problem taking Breece Hall in a 5-6 or like right in the middle of the draft which is right now his ADP is 8.3. Taking him as my number one running back in the first round because he's going to get all the touches. They got nothing after him. And he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think he was RB1 the last 3 weeks of the season. And that was with Zach Wilson or whoever the hell was starting for New York at the end of the... I don't even know. But Aaron Rodgers coming back, he's not the gunslinger. He's going to... Breece Hall is going to play a huge part in this offense. So I kind of like him there at that spot. And then when I come back around again, that's when I look at Drake London at 14.6 ADP. I think he's wide receiver 1, and he's going to be targeted the most out of any receiver with Kirk Cousins throwing the ball. Now I have a wide receiver 1 for Atlanta who's going to be more explosive on offense, and Breece Hall, who I think is going to be the focal point of the Jets' offense. And they can kind of build from there. Because those are my options, the way it kind of plays out. If you don't like Drake London there at 14.6, you also have Chris Olave, who I'm not excited for. Obviously, the Brandon Ayuk situation. But let's not count out Davante Adams right now. Davante Adams last year was a top 10 pick. 2 years ago, he was up in the top 5. Aiden O'Connell, or Rico, Uncle Rico himself, I don't care. Both those quarterbacks, whoever starts, they're going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball. They may throw a lot of interceptions, but they're going to throw the ball. Zamir White is their top running back. The dude is not known for catching the ball out of the backfield. He's going to get his carries, but he's not that type of player who's going to change the passing game. The Raiders are going to need to pass a lot this year. Put up just chucking it down the field to keep up in games. Davante Adams at ADP and 19.3 is ridiculous because he's the best player on the team. And if Aiden O'Connell or Uncle Rico, as I call him, is going to throw the ball, they're going to target him. They're going to say, that's my best player. Here's how I win a football game or come back and win. I think Davante Adams has a really big year fantasy-wise this year for the Raiders. Targets alone. And he's undervalued at 19.3. Now, if you don't take that Breece Hall or Bijan or Christian McCaffrey, then you're kind of stuck with Jahmyr Gibbs. Jonathan Taylor coming off an injury. Saquon Barkley, we don't really know what they're going to do. There are too many mouths to feed in Philadelphia. Never been known for a long time now of giving the running back a lot of looks if it's not in game script. Devon Achane. I mean, he's a limited sample size. And the injury thing kind of scares me with him. I'm not willing to 25.3 ADP right now. I'm not willing to put that. I'm not willing to do it. Not willing to do that. And a lot of people will draft Devon Achane as their number one running back because they're going to load up on receivers. Are you actually comfortable with that? So I'm not. Derrick Henry, 31.6. Kyron Williams, what's going on with him and his injury? 29.8. I would feel way more comfortable taking Bijan, Breece, or McCaffrey and then Davante Adams or Drake London or even Jalen Waddle as my number one receiver. Like, doesn't it seem more comfortable going into a fantasy season having that than having Jamar Chase and then Devon Achane or Jamar Chase and Jahmyr Gibbs? David Montgomery is not going away, people. I don't get it. So once again, this year, By the way, Michael Pittman Jr. is 33.4 ADP. I'll take him as my number. I will run through and take in this 5-6 spot. I will be happily take Breece Hall, either Drake London or Devontae Adams, and get Michael Pittman Jr. And now I have Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, or London, and Michael Pittman Jr. on my team instead of having to deal with Justin Jefferson and Devon Achane or Kyron Williams. Those three running backs are it. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, if he's healthy, would be close. But if you do not get one of Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, or Christian McCaffrey, obviously, but you have the number 1 or 2 or 3 pick, I'm telling you, it's not looking up. It's just from what I see right now. This may change when we start doing draft season. But I'm running all these in my head as I'm going through ADP, and I'm doing mocks and everything that I do to get ready for the season. And if you're in that midsection or even towards the end and these running backs fall to you, it just seems like I would be very uncomfortable going into the season knowing that these are my running backs when it comes to that. Because then you're stuck with like your number 2 getting even lower, Isaiah Pacheco as your number 2. Like, you feel confident in that. A lot of people are going to be drafting Isaiah Pacheco as their number 1 running back. Running backs is becoming in fantasy what tight ends were a year ago. The tight end position now in fantasy is actually blown up, especially with last year's draft. It used to be a joke. You had Kelsey, you had Andrews, and then hopefully a hit. But there's 10 now that you could easily have in your lineups that will be confident, that you can be confident in, that can perform. But running backs, especially with the split and game scripts and everything going now, it really, really drops off. So my advice to you, the dog days of summer, is A, do research. Go to places like fantasyalarm.com. Go check out what Sharp Football Analysis is doing. They have a ton of stuff that can help you do this research and understand these type of things, because everyone drafts about what they read on ESPN or Yahoo. It's like, and everyone's like, when I go to a draft and see everybody with the same Fantasy Pros cheat sheet, I just smiled like I just did. There's a reason for that. Do your research. Check out all the sites. Know your stuff if you want to win. And we're going to help you here on Monday Night Rants, that's for sure. Before I go, I do have one thing to mention, one thing only. The signups for the Guillotine League, which was so successful last year here on Monday Night Rants, will be up. There's going to be a form on MondayNightRants.com. If you go to that form, you can sign up. We're taking 18 people. And how it works is like this. If you haven't played a Guillotine League, it is absolutely incredible. It's so much fun. We did it last year. Everyone loved it. We do the draft here live on the show. 18 people all draft their teams. But they're not as deep as you would think. You play your starters, and at the end of each week, whoever has the lowest amount of points, so it's no head-to-head. Whoever has the lowest amount of points, you're eliminated. You're out. So if you lose week 1, you lose amount of points, you're done. That's it. Season's over for you. However, all those players go into free agency, and we use Fab, and everyone. So there's a lot of strategy involved. It's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun last year. Shout out to our winner, Corn 4. I hope he's back this year. He's obviously welcome back because he's the defending champion, and I think he will be back. But I'll be putting the signups on MondayNightRants.com for that next week after the All-Star game. And we'll have a lot of fun with that. And the draft will be live. We'll have call-ins. We'll have chats. We'll have a lot of good times there in the Guillotine League. And obviously, there's prizes to the winners. So, with that being said, welcome to the dog days of sports summer, baby. Enjoy your soccer matches. Enjoy the All-Star game and baseball. And if you have the patience for it, Summer League in the NBA. For myself and everyone at Better Sports Network, for myself and at Heavy T on Air, my boy Tyler Heavy T Soto and Thomas Stevens, from Monday Night Rants. We wish you a very adieu. And until next week in the Home Run Derby special, which, by the way, we're going to have a lot of fun. I think I'm going to have a giveaway. What? A giveaway. It's going to be a lot of fun. And there could be bingo involved. We'll see. From myself, everyone with the Bears Sports Center, once more, a big shout out to our boy and always, Taj McGowan. We'll see you next Monday night, my fellow ranters, 6 p.m. Pacific time, same place, same